Above Greenfield Reservoir there's a series of gullies that in the summer they're very overgrown. They might make for a reasonable short dry scramble, but after 2 weeks of rain, as you might see behind me there is quite a bit of water in them, and they're worth having a go for clough scrambling. This is the first of the gullies. It doesn't seem to have a name, but it comes down off Ox Rake Brow. Here's the start. You can barely see the brook, even though it might be winter and the reeds have died off a little bit. It's very overgrown and quite flat, and perhaps worth bypassing and just going straight for the higher bit that comes off the slope of Saddleworth Moor. As predicted, coming up from the road, not worth heading in, but just here, around about the level of the shoulder of the hill before it starts its more steep descent, it is worth entering the brook. The pools are knee deep at most, but the gradient is pretty strong, so it's good going all the way up. Here's the only bit with a proper set of cascades. Rate them about a 0.5, leading up hopefully onto the top of the moor. The brook does actually keep going on a little way above this, but levelling off, so this seems like a reasonable place to stop, descend and try the next of the cloughs. The clough coming off Ox Rake Brow took about 15 minutes to get up and only about 5 minutes to get down. Now here's the second of the gullies up behind me. This one's the only one with a name, and this one is Far Rough Clough. As you can see, if I turn myself around, this one is actually about opposite the middle of Greenfield Reservoir. If you're a fan of stagnant pools, then you could get in to this one, but probably more sensible to just get started where the brook proper starts, just above. Unlike the previous clough, Far Rough Clough is moderately steep right from the start, but it is also more overgrown, which is a pain and makes it less interesting. By these large boulders, the clough is narrowing to a steeper V, but it is also getting even more overgrown. This may be about as good as it gets. A couple of waterfalls, maybe about 6 or 7 feet from knee-deep pools. One more set of waterfalls, well not waterfalls, little cascades to go before getting to the top of Saddleworth Moor, but this then is pretty much the top and a good place to think about a summary verdict overall on Far Rough Clough, which would be that there are lots of rocks, lots of gradient, lots of handholds, lots of footholds, so lots of continuous scrambling, no real problem solving. I'd rate it about a kind of 0.5, maybe a tiny bit of 0.75 in places, and a hell of a lot of millennia grass sticking in your face all of the time. Far Rough Clough took around 30 minutes to get up and 10 minutes to get down. Here behind me now is the last of the 3 cloughs that run up above Greenfield Reservoir. This one again doesn't seem to have a name on the Ordnance Survey maps, but looks quite steep and quite decent. Here's the starting point of the 3rd clough, which rises up again like the others onto the top of Saddleworth Moor. If you want to get across to it, you can either just scramble down into this stretcher here, or better still, just walk back to the bridge at the start of Far Rough Clough and then walk back. This 3rd of the cloughs, shall we call it not quite so rough clough, is probably the best of the 3 in terms of the start. Moderately steep, not too overgrown, bits of bracken that you have to get out of the way, and no particularly flat bits, and then from the shoulder of the hill getting a little bit steeper, but even so far it hasn't really been that flat. It's a continuous series of cascades, and as you can see from the fact that the water is running over grass, in drier conditions this would be nothing at all. This gives a good sense of what the brook is like in the major part of the clough, better than some of the parts further below where the brook itself splits into two and therefore the water flow is much lower. It's been steep all of the way, but here's a particularly fine set of steep cascades near to the top. This is the natural ending point where a path up here at the top crosses over the brook, but definitely feel that I've left the best one until last. Yeah, it's a slight shame that there are places where the brook divides into two, so the water volume in either of the forks is lower than it might otherwise be, but this is less overgrown, it is steeper, and it's a lot more fun than the other two. The last bit, there is a 50 to 60 foot grade 1 series of cascades to get up, so this one definitely to be recommended. Birchen Clough is only just around the corner there, so what would make you want to come and do these ones instead? I don't think it'd come back in summer. There'd only be a trickle of water, and even if you wanted to do a dry scramble, it's going to be pretty overgrown. But if it's a winter's day and it's been pretty miserable weather, particularly if it's been raining quite a bit, this might be quite a good choice, particularly this one just behind me, the most westerly of the three cloughs that I've climbed up today. It's only about 30 minutes from the car park. It takes only about 30 minutes to get up, 10 minutes to get back down again, and it's a continuous scramble. You know, right from the start, you're going over rocks and on steep terrain. I'm not sure I would go up that one, come down and do the other two, but you could do if you're feeling like it. As I say, this one is definitely the best of them. And compared to Birchen Clough, for example, with Birchen, yeah, the waterfalls, there are more grade 1 waterfalls, so the grade 1 cascades up here were perfectly decent. But with Birchen Clough, you're going between the waterfalls very slowly, feeling your way because it's ever so slippery, whereas here it's just constant scrambling. So yeah, I really quite like this one, whatever I'm going to call it, the not quite so rough clough. Here's an overview map of the area. Park at Binn Green car park and walk around Yeoman Hey to Greenfield Reservoir. The cloughs run straight from the path. Further details are given in the text description underneath the video.